All right, let's talk more about the upcoming college football playoff games, the semifinals here in Dallas, and also down in Miami, where we find Chris Doering of the SEC Network. The former Florida great joins us now on the Pepsi Hotline. Welcome in, Chris. Hope you're doing well down there.
I'm doing well, guys. Good to be back with you, man. It's a fun time of year.
Yeah, it is. Always fun to talk with you. I want to start with the game here in Dallas as Alabama takes on Cincinnati. They're down a receiver in John Mechie. So from your point of view as a receiver, you be Jamison Williams. How does that affect you? Everybody says, it's easier to cover Jamison Williams now. You don't have to worry about John Mechie. How do you battle that? How does that affect Jamison Williams practically that he doesn't have a John Mechie over on the other side?
Well, I haven't seen a lot of people be able to handle Jamison Williams all season long. He's been by far the best receiver in the country, in my opinion. I thought he's gotten better and better every single week, and what he's being asked to do shoulders a large part of that passing game load. Certainly, it's going to be more of a challenge without having Mechie out there, who I think those two guys made up a nice 1-2 punch. But let's be honest. I mean, Alabama has no issues recruiting wide receivers. So really it just comes down to guys stepping up. Slade Bolden is going to have to take advantage of the opportunity. But I look for guys like Trayshawn Holden. Ja'Cory Brooks had that big touchdown catch against Auburn. Javon Baker. Those guys are going to have to make plays. But the guy that I'm curiously wondering where he's kind of been this year is Jaleel Billingsley. We have to see a Jaleel Billingsley breakout sooner or later. I predicted it was going to happen in Atlanta. That didn't necessarily happen. Only 2 catches in that game. But I think Billingsley is set to have a big one, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him do damage to that defense of Cincinnati.
As a former ultra-productive wide receiver, how excited would you get going against cornerbacks like Ahmad Gardner and Kobe Bryant?
Yeah, to be honest, that was one of the bigger challenges for me when I played against longer defensive backs, being a taller guy. I remember Torrey James was a guy at LSU, had a great NFL career, but Torrey was about my same height, 6'4", had long arms, can create some issues in press coverage. These two corners, Gardner and I went blank on the other one, but Bryant. Yeah, those guys are both very, very long for corners, can play physically. So I really think it's a nice challenge for Jamison Williams, but I also think one of the reasons why you recruit as well as Alabama does is not only to create depth, but you can also create advantages. All right, we know about the top 2 corners for Cincinnati, but what about the matchup between your 3rd best receiver and their 3rd best cover guy, or the 4th best receiver and their 4th best cover guy? I think that's one of the things that we did well at Florida when I was there under Coach Spurrier. You couldn't. Who were you going to defend? I was out there with Riddell Anthony and Jaquez Green and Ike Hilliard and Travis McGriff. It is a real challenge when you have that many guys you can roll out there. So whether it's the other receivers or, as I mentioned, with Billingsley and Latu, those guys have to take advantage of what I think would be an advantage once you get past that top tandem for Cincinnati's corners.
Chris, using the rearview mirror right now, which loss surprises you most right now? Georgia to Alabama or Alabama to Texas A&M in Kyle Field?
Yeah, I think using the rearview mirror, probably the Texas A&M defeat of Alabama. Looking at how well this team has kind of evolved in the season, I think Texas A&M caught Alabama at a great time. They did some great things defensively in terms of creating pressure and the blitzes that got home from Mike Elko's defense. But in hindsight, I at the time, I thought that Georgia was going to handle Alabama fairly easily in the SEC championship game. I didn't realize that Alabama was going to put together by far their best performance of the season against the Georgia Bulldogs. But now looking like they've rounded into form, looking like what we know Bryce Young to be, looking what Jamison Williams has been able to do. I think the fact that they lost to a Texas A&M team that I thought was underachieving in a lot of ways and very limited in what they were able to do. I mean, I think from the Zach Calzada, a career night throwing the football. I don't know if they played 10 more times if he would have the same sort of output throwing the ball against this Alabama defense. So I think that's kind of, in hindsight, that maybe the most confusing loss of the season in the conference to me.
Chris Doering is with us, former Florida and NFL wide receiver with the SEC Network, Sirius XM Radio now. You can follow him on Twitter at Chris Doering, at CDoering28 on Instagram, at CDoering28. Other than Stetson Bennett at the game where you are there in Miami, who didn't have a terrible game against Alabama, but it wasn't a great game either. Some bad interceptions, including a pick six.
Yeah.
Other than Stetson Bennett, give me the Georgia guy that must bounce back bigger against Michigan, must have a big bounce back against Michigan for Georgia to win this game coming up on Friday night.
Well, what about Jordan Davis? I mean, Jordan Davis was largely ineffective in that ball game. In fact, the entire front seven, who we had lauded all season long, was basically negated. Alabama's offensive line did a great job, but I thought the game plan was really solid too in terms of getting the ball out of Bryce Young's hands. I don't know that Michigan has the weapons to be able to use the blueprint that Alabama used to defeat Georgia, but one of the things I do think they can take away is the way that that Alabama got the ball out of Bryce Young's hands quickly, didn't allow them to just pin their ears back and rush them in the pocket, and then let guys make plays in space. I thought Georgia tackled as poorly as they had all season long, letting guys get a ton of yards after the catch, a ton of yards after contact. So I think that's something that you'll see. Michigan, I don't know how much you guys have had a chance to watch the Wolverines this year, but I was surprised when I dove into my study. I was surprised at how much better they are in terms of talent around the quarterback position. We all know about the running back duo with Haskins and Corum. Those guys are also great pass catchers. So I think that's going to be an opportunity for them to put some pressure on Georgia, is to see what those two running backs can do catching the ball out of the backfield.
From a pure skill set, George Pickens has all the tools. And I know he was out the first 10 games of the season, first 11 games of the season. One reception against Tech, a couple of receptions against Bama, one big reception. But with the time off, how big of a factor do you think Pickens can be in this game?
I think he's got to be a factor. I mean, he's too big, too talented, too much of a matchup issue to not have some sort of impact, especially getting that 3 weeks of extra time. I've never had the type of injury he had, but I did tear my Achilles in the NFL, and coming back from that, it takes some time and it takes some experience to feel like you have the confidence to put your foot in the ground and do the things that are asked to do of you as a wide receiver. So he definitely has to be out there. He can take the pressure off of a lot of those other guys around him. But I've been impressed with some of the younger guys that stepped up this year for Georgia. Donovan Mitchell has done a nice job for them. The tight ends, Brock Bowers is the ultimate matchup issue. I think that's one of the storylines, guys, to keep our eye on. We had a chance to host the press conferences today, both of the bowls, and Jim Harbaugh was asked about Daxton Hill. Daxton Hill, it may be the best, most versatile defender for Michigan. If he's not out there, there are reports of a positive COVID test. Jim Harbaugh said he's working through some things. They're hoping to get him back. I think he may draw the assignment of having to cover Brock Bowers. If he's not there, then who do you use to cover Bowers, who is such a matchup issue because of where you can line it up and his athleticism and blocking ability? Is it the freshman Junior Colson, or is it the freshman safety Rod Moore? I think that's one of the kind of unique dynamics of this game that I'm looking forward to see how it plays out, is how they handle Brock Bowers, because quite frankly, nobody's really handled him all that well this season.
Do you have a your famous catch? Do you have a painting? Because here in Alabama, Daniel A. Moore, one of our great sponsors, New Life Art, every big Alabama moment, there's a painting done of it. All the way back to a Van Tiffen kick, bow over the top for Auburn fans. Do you have a painting or a great frame photo of the catch?
I carry around a laminated picture in my wallet of that catch. I don't have the painting. Maybe he'll make an exception and step outside of the Alabama world and paint one for a Florida guy. But I tell you what, I was fortunate enough to be included in that great SEC story that they did this year about the voices of the SEC and the iconic play-by-play guys in this league, and that Mick Huber call of my catch in 1993 still gives me chills to this day. Somebody gave me a great gift a number of years back, a music box that had 4 or 5 great plays in Florida history, and that one was on there. So even to this point in time, man, if somebody sends that to me in an audio form or a link on YouTube, I get caught up, kind of getting excited about it and getting a little nervous too, like how my life would have been different had I not been able to hold on to that football as a sophomore.
That's great.
Doering's got a touchdown. I think it's the call from Mick Huber.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, real quick, how well do you know Billy Napier, and ultimately, who do you think the quarterback for 2022 is for the Gators?
Yeah, you know what? I don't know him well. I did have a chance to talk to him about 2 weeks ago, so I'm excited to get a chance to meet with him and to learn a little bit more about him. I've talked to a few of his assistant coaches as well. Really excited about the commitment from Scott Strickland and the athletic department to fund what they're calling, Billy Napier's army. All the assistants that they're bringing in, the analysts, trying to get on the same level as what Coach Saban and Coach Smart are doing in the SEC. So I think it's going to be exciting. But him hitting the ground running, what he was able to do and putting together in a very short period of time, a small but pretty talented recruiting class. They're focused largely on the February signing period, but did get a number of 4 and 1 5-star player, a guy they were able to flip from Georgia. So I think the future is bright for Florida under Billy Napier, and there's a lot of cautious optimism amongst the Gator fan base right now.
All right, go follow him on Twitter at Chris Doering, at CDoering28 on Instagram. See him on the SEC Network and hear him on Sirius XM Radio. Chris, it is always great talking with you, man. We appreciate the time. Enjoy the game down there.
Yeah, thank you guys. I appreciate it. Have fun. Happy New Year.
All right, buddy. Take care. Chris Doering with us on the Pepsi Hotline.